Ooh. And we're live. Welcome back to another Corona Geek here, where we talk all about mobile app development using Corona SDK. I'm your host, Charles McKeever, and today we are going to talk with the developers of FartWatch. And it's going to be an interesting conversation for sure. And joining us today here is Andrew and Daniel from the developers of FartWatch, all the way out in San Francisco. Or not San Francisco. Where exactly are you guys?
Yeah, we're in San Francisco. We're in South of Market, home of startups. You can see one behind us. And,
Excellent.
we're starting up Fart.watch. We're blowing it out.
I said FartWatch, and Siri automatically popped up and said, "Who, me?" I kid you not. I had to turn it off. So it's interested in what you have to say today about the Apple Watch and putting your app out there. If we have time at the end of the show, we'll also talk about working with text in Corona. So if you have a chance to hang out to the end, be sure to check out that part. And joining us today also is Dr. Brian Burton down in Abilene, author of several Corona SDK books. Hey, Brian, how you doing? Also joining us is Ed Marina from roaminggamer.com, and he's going to help us today with our discussion about working with text. Joining us is Greg Pugh, who looks like he's sniffing his coffee cup, but I'm sure that's just a screenshot. But Greg's from gpanimations.com, does a lot of graphic design work and a lot of courseware stuff these days. Also joining us is Laura Talarde, and she's going to tell us about a great new game jam that's coming up that is going to be something you're going to be interested in. We'll get to that in just a bit, but thanks, Laura, for joining us. And that's it. So let's go ahead and get into a few announcements, a little bit of housekeeping, and then we want to get into FartWatch. We want to hear all about that. I think you have to say it with a you have to put your teeth up against your upper lip there and say, really go for it when you're saying the name of that app. If you didn't get a chance to watch Corona Geek 119, definitely want to go back and watch that. We talked about rotating around a center point, and Ed took us through some vector math and on how to use transitions in order to accomplish that. And so that was an interesting conversation. And also, the developer of Coronium, Chris Byerly, came on and talked about Coronium sockets. So if you're interested in doing any sort of real-time or near-to-real-time communications via your app and maybe a back-end system, then Coronium sockets definitely would be something that you would want to check out. So go check out last week's show, and you can hear all about it. If you are in the know, if you're in the zone, rather, for learning Corona SDK, then you'll want to be in the know and go over to burtonsmediagroup.com and check out the books that Dr. Burton has over there for Corona SDK. He's got several books out over there that walk you through everything you need to know to learn Corona, and it's all project-based, so you can start from beginning to end with a project, or if you just want to skip to a chapter and learn one particular thing or look up one particular thing, you can do that as well. So Dr. Burton has graciously supplied us with a coupon that you can use at checkout to save 20% on your purchase. So use Corona Geek at checkout and save that cash. You can save it to buy some Christmas presents for your whatever, whoever you want to buy them for. Buy them for me. I mean, send them here, Corona Geek. Or Brian will take them.
Yeah.
Also, in December, we are playing Corona Geek games. We're playing City Birds. I don't know if you guys have you guys seen that? Have you seen City Birds? You've been playing that? I know Greg's been playing it. Here, I'm going to show you a screenshot of it here. Let's see, City Birds. So here on my screen is City Birds. Let me make sure that it's actually showing to everyone here. And if you haven't played this game, it's fantastic. It's fast-paced. It moves very quickly. The mechanics, the concepts are very simple, though. You're supposed to be putting birds into the same color cages. So if you have a green bird, you put them into a green cage, and a blue bird in a blue cage, and so on. But you also have to avoid dynamite and flying donkeys and little eggs and everything. And the developer of that app did the artwork and the programming and everything himself. He sourced the audio himself, stuff like that. It's really a well put together game. It's like playing a cartoon. So if you enjoy any sort of classic Looney Tune cartoon or anything like that, it's like playing a cartoon. So we're playing that one, and we're also playing this other one, which I haven't got the pronunciation down exactly just yet, but I'm calling it Vritra. It's your old school, typical, arcade type game, and it's got some fantastic graphics, lots of explosions. It's very fast paced, and I just love it. When it's one of those things you can get in, you can get out, you can spend some time with it, and then you move on to other things. And but it's a lot of fun. And they put together this whole website for it. I believe the developers are in Japan, and they have this great website that they put together with video trailers and all that kind of stuff. It's been out for a couple of years, but it's a favorite. So we're going to play that as well. It's available on iOS and Android. And City Birds, I think, is only on iOS. So we're going to be giving out 2 gift cards this month, $50 a piece. So all you have to do is post a screenshot of your high score to the Corona Geek Facebook wall. And then on, I think I've been saying December 30th, but I think the hangout where we're going to announce that is December 29th. So I'll double check that, but check the show notes for the links and post your high score for a chance to win. The other thing that I wanted to tell you about, and I think Laura actually can give us a lot of details on this, is Ship Jam. So Laura, what's the deal there?
Ship Jam, Eric Kincaid of Questlord, and I came up with this last night, and it's a really great idea because we both have a lot of projects that we love, but we never really got to finish them up. So we're just making a big game jam that's a big push for the end of the year to try and get whatever apps that you have that you might not have finished, just to wrap it up and finish it and submit it by December 31st, so that you have one last app to your name for the end of the year.
I think this is a great idea because it's the two things. We always come to the end of the year and we always have the you have the what am I going to do for next year, and then you wind up having this I don't know, boneyard worth of code on your hard drive, and you're like, I know we're all looking at it right now thinking, well, I didn't finish that. Oh, man, I should have finished this. And this just seems like a good opportunity, a good excuse to say, hey, here's one last push. If I could get just one app out before the end of the year, then that's one more app than I had before. So I think this is a great concept.
Absolutely. Yeah, totally. And thank you again. You volunteered to be a guest judge, so thank you very much for that. And we're rounding up a couple other guest judges, and we've got some prizes that we're rounding up. So far, we've got a couple iTunes gift cards. We've got an extended press release from PR Mac, and Brian Burton over there has very generously agreed to donate a couple of his books to the winners. So we're going around, we're getting some good prizes, we're getting some good judges, and I think it's going to be a really fun time, a really good community event to just kind of bring some devs together for the end of the year and get some apps published.
Yeah, and I know you guys are doing this kind of, I wouldn't say last minute. I mean, you've probably been thinking about it for a while, but I know it's kind of coming. The date's kind of coming up on us quick. So in terms of prizes and stuff like that, I know you guys are gonna scramble to kind of get all that stuff together. But I think it should really be the prizes should just be a cherry on top, right? I mean, it's really more about the community and getting that last push out, that last day, because we know it's all there, right? You've got everything done. You just need to package it up and you need to ship it. No, it's not complete. No, it will never be finished, but you need to at least just get it out there, right? So.
Exactly. So I feel like if everybody gets together and kind of does a push together, we'll all motivate each other a lot more, and maybe more than we would individually.
So now I know that you purchased the domain name ShipJam.
Oh yes, if you go to shipjam.com, it should be all set up. And okay. I just realized on your screenshot there, it's not December 27th to 20th. It's from basically now until December 31st. So from now until the end of the year, you can enter. And it's free to enter, so we'd love to have as many Corona devs as possible come in and get one more app out.
Awesome. So yeah, that makes good sense. That way you can have as much time as possible to get it out there. Although that having the two day thing sometimes can be a good motivator, right? You're like everything.
Yeah, we wanted to do that, but then we were thinking, by the time you get, provisioning profiles and certifications and screenshots and whatnot, sometimes that stuff can just take a week on its own. So
yeah, right, exactly.
We figure we'll just extend it out, plus holidays and whatnot.
Right.
It's worth mentioning to people who are listening that if you want to get started, if you want to get your app out for iOS for this, you need to do it soon because believe they're shutting down submissions on the 21st.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, we'll have to put a note on there to.
So I mean that doesn't stop people from submitting, and they can still use the not the ad hoc, but the new test flight distribution mechanism if they need to. But you won't be able to get your app out before the end of the year, pretty much.
Right.
Oh, okay.
But you
Well,
can
thank
get
you
it
very
all
much.
ready to go and get it in the queue.
Certainly.
Yeah. Don't
You're not going to review it
to
during
not
that
do
one.
this. This is a great idea.
No, it is. I'm already entered.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah. This certainly could be an annual thing. I mean, I don't want to volunteer you for anything, Laura, but I think this just in concept-wise, this could be a great annual. Starting maybe in the beginning of the month and say, hey, look here it is, and
Yeah, I would love to, get as much mileage as we can out of it. I think it's something that it's low pressure because it's not coming up with a brand new thing. It's something that you've already, thought about and worked on, but, it's a little extra motivation. So, hopefully it'll go well and we'll be here 10 years from now thinking about this magical first time.
Yeah.
This game jam.
I think anytime anytime there's a natural rub in a market, where there's just that friction, and you're just like, hey, this is something that you don't have to invent, you don't have to sell to anybody, it's just naturally there. That's a good formula. So I think ShipGem is, like I said, it combines a couple of different factors into something that everybody can be affected by, especially if they're coming at the end of the year as a developer. Well, speaking of markets and friction, no, sorry. Let's hear about FartWatch. Let's hear about how did FartWatch come about. And before we get into that, though, Daniel, Andrew, why don't you guys introduce yourselves and kind of talk about your background and stuff.
Hey, so I'm Daniel. I'm an app developer. I used to work for an indie game studio in Ohio. 6 months ago, I moved out here to lovely San Francisco to join a startup that teaches people how to code. So I'm an instructor there. And as part of that job, I attend a ton of hackathons. I'm at hackathons all the time, sort of promoting the startup and also just mentoring people that need help, that get stuck. And so through that, we found out that the Apple Watch hackathon was coming up. And we both thought, well, we got to go there. We got to do something. But then, of course, the thing we actually chose to do.
Yeah, we had a nice big long list with all sorts of ideas. I even posted it. I think the Hacker News, it got about 7 points and some really. Oh, actually, there's a funny story there. So we made this list. We had some other ideas. For instance, one which was actually done at the hackathon was a watch to make your phone ring. So if you're in the middle of a conversation and you need to get out, you press the button, your phone rings in your pocket, you answer it, and you're like, oh, I have to step out real quick. So that was kind of our second, top idea.
Yeah, that was our second best idea.
Both of which these ideas, you have to have the two separate devices. You need the watch and you need the phone. But on this spreadsheet that I posted publicly to Reddit and some other forums, I had removed the FartWatch idea from the list because we considered it, or I did. I didn't actually get Daniel's approval to do any of this. I removed that one because I thought it was our best idea, and sure enough, somebody else added it to the list. A random person somehow came up with the same idea.
Yeah, so now they think we're stealing their idea. Well, did they know it was ours originally?
It was in our back pocket.
We had that. That was our secret.
First to market is big in the world of fart watches.
I'm thinking you can't necessarily claim something like that, right? I mean, that's just, FartWatch. Come on.
Yeah, FartWatch.
That's universally. That belongs to the world. FartWatch.
We've heard that Apple stopped letting in fart apps to the App Store for the phones. Yeah, no more.
We're a little worried about that.
No more of those.
But for the Apple Watch though, so every time some new SDK comes out for iOS or some new feature, Apple loves to have apps that implement it, and then they feature them really big in the App Store as sort of a reward for implementing Apple's new technology. And so how could they? I would be aghast
Well, here's the thing.
Yes.
Here's the thing: is I think that, like I said this before, before we started the show, from a marketing perspective, it's a story that sells itself, right? So you're already kind of in a zone where, just by virtue of creating this app, you've got marketing push. If they reject it, you have even more marketing push, right? I mean, you can
Tons of push.
Yeah, and so you don't even have to publish that app. You can just be the developers of the Fart app watch Fart Watch app that didn't get to publish it, and then launch the next app.
That's totally true. I would be bummed for life if I became known as the guy that developed Fart Watch. But I mean, maybe it's worth it.
I'm owning it.
Which, by
I'm
the
owning
way,
it. I'll take over. If we get too big, I'll take over.
Andrew, you never introduced yourself formally. Let's tell us about you.
I'm Andrew. I'm from Louisiana. Lived in Hawaii and surfed for a while, and I somehow became a designer along the way, sort of a designer. I moved to San Francisco a couple years ago. I now work part-time with Daniel at the company he works for, and I've developed, technically produced probably like 40 apps, 40 student apps, maybe even more. 60 that were meant to go to the App Store, 30 that are there, and probably another 100 that sort of have just reached prototype level. So while FartWatch might be my first personal app ever
In the store?
in the store ever.
Assuming it makes it to the store.
Assuming it makes it. I've been involved with an untold number of apps.
Well, let's get into some of the details then. I mean, we can all kind of make up what we think Fart Watch will do, but tell us about it, and let's see what your idea is.
Okay, so every good startup, every good app, everything needs an origin story. And this one's just the same. We've got one. So, and in fact, that's what prompted the idea in the first place, which was my dad thinks he's hilarious. He thinks he has a great sense of humor. He doesn't. But that doesn't preclude him from taking a fart machine and sticking it in the breadbasket during Thanksgiving dinner when we're at the relative's house.
We have that.
So
We
that's
have that
what's
same.
going on.
My uncle has that same one.
Yeah.
Every uncle.
Yeah, so my dad is the weird uncle. Like every family has the weird uncle, and that's my dad. So he sticks the fart machine in the breadbasket. We're all, saying grace or whatever, and then the breadbasket just starts farting. I mean...
So it's not just a matter of, okay, wait a minute. It's not just a matter of technology, and it's a matter of timing too, right? He's figured out exactly when to enact this piece of equipment.
Yeah, so
Optimal time, I would say.
He's an engineer, and so he likes his technology. He gets the fart machine with remote trigger, right? So this isn't just your everyday fart machine. But what our whole goal is, we're disrupting the fart machine marketplace, right? We're turning the fart machine industry upside down.
Whoopee cushions, they're obsolete after us.
You are
finally done.
You are pending any negative press that Uber's been following. You're the Uber of farts.
We are
Uber
the
fart.
Uber fart. Yeah. And so,
I mean, we don't want to toot our own horn, but
yeah.
Uber of farts.
Yeah.
Definitely.
I mean, but we do want to toot our own horn. We want to toot everyone's horns, is what we actually want.
Laura's falling out from here. She can't handle it anymore.
This is why I have my camera off.
So anyway, we're taking these hardware, like everything that's happening. Software is eating the world. We're taking these hardware fart machines. We're replacing with software. You've got an iPhone. You have the Apple Watch. You've got a fart machine. You're all set up. So basically, the gist of it is, you pull up the app on your phone. You hide it somewhere. You hide your phone somewhere that's within Bluetooth range, probably under your grandfather's seat during Thanksgiving dinner or Christmas dinner. Burton hears a poo.
Yeah, he doesn't even hear it, so they're good targets, the elderly.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, so the rest of the family's in on it. But anyway, so we'll set this up for you. It's Christmas dinner. Everyone's gathered around a giant ham on the table. It's beautiful. But Grandpa starts talking about Fox News again. He's talking about politics. There's a lot of tension. We don't want that. So you slip the phone under the seat, and then you just start farting away. 12 high quality, uncompressed. Uncompressed, did you say?
Lossless,
Yeah,
lossless.
lossless audio farts. Totally random. You just press the button and it goes. And when I say it goes, I mean it goes. It's like a back end blowout.
We got the vibrator going and everything.
Oh, this is
like,
hilarious.
full power.
The
So-
Silicon Valley pitch. This is awesome.
Yeah. And when I say you press the
do you have
button,
it? Can we hear it now?
We don't have it. Do we?
don't you?
Yeah.
Was it on your phone?
I will say you can check out fart.watch. That's our domain.
Yeah, so there's no actual hardware support yet, obviously, because the Apple Watch is not yet released to the public. So we had to do it all in simulator. So basically, the app, you press a button and it farts. And we have that on phone, I think, if you can find it, if you didn't lose our precious app already. But yeah, I mean,
Is it one of those?
no, it's not one of those.
I just
Sorry,
need
device-
to hear
device
this
drama.
lossless.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
you gotta
Right,
find it.
I'm thinking you might not get the same effect over a Google Hangout.
Yeah, we're going to lose a little, but
All right. Well, anyway, sorry, we're not prepared to fart for you. We did fart at our demo presentation
Our pitch in front of, yeah.
in front of plenty of people. So
So let's talk about that for a moment. How did the hackathon? You guys presented this or developed this at a hackathon. So how did that go?
Yeah, so there was this Apple Watch hackathon, and sort of there was actually some drama leading up to it because Apple hadn't released any SDK period for the Apple Watch up until I think 2 days before the hackathon was supposed to happen. But then they finally released it. You know, it's not complete at all. It's certainly a beta SDK. One might argue it's intentionally incomplete for battery reasons, but we can talk about that later. So anyway, it's like dead simple. The SDK. So you get there, and there's a ton of people there. It was held in the Hacker Dojo in Mountain View, which is sort of like a startup space. There's a ton of them around here in the Bay Area, and so unlike most hackathons are held at colleges, especially the bigger ones. This one actually charged admission. It was like, I don't know, $8. It was something minor just to cover the cost of food, so it was totally worth it. But I think the fact that they charged admission meant that the people that showed up tended to be of the more experienced and certainly very serious type. And so at the final presentation, oh, and by the way, so Fart.watch, 6-hour hackathon. It was only 6 hours, of which 4, my partner and designer here, spent designing the logo while I did all the work. But anyway, so,
At least you guys didn't say spent 4 hours recording the sound effects.
oh, I mean,
those are in the works.
yeah, that's an entirely separate issue.
But yeah, most of the hackathon was basically everyone in the entire room figuring out how to thwart ways around just the limitations of the SDK right now and things like that. So again, we don't actually have the full watch working right now. It's literally impossible.
Yeah, no hardware yet.
So we kind of had to just, off of our pretty meager phone app, just play the fart sounds. So
Yeah,
fortunately, we definitely were going to prank the judges, like duh, like they're sitting right there. You know, it was all in line for that, but
No hardware yet.
yeah, impossible.
No,
Yeah.
not even any dev kits for developers from Apple yet.
So
Just,
up to
the simulator.
So up to this point, it's you're thinking of it primarily as a gag app. Is that what we're saying?
Yeah, if you've got any serious app ideas, I mean, we'd love to hear them.
Oh, I was just wondering if you were going to do any sort of biorhythm measurement. Like maybe frequency.
That's a genius idea, by the way. Like, if you can figure out that you're just about to have like a flatulence thunderstorm 5 minutes from now, and you can predict that, it's sort of like the yeah, that would be amazing.
Yeah, well, in all seriousness, I mean, if you could figure out how to do something like that, where someone could not record the sounds per se, but say like record the occurrence of biorhythms like that. I mean, they're talking about doing heartbeats and all this other stuff, So what if you could do something where you could figure out?
So the farts in the blood? Is
Maybe.
that what you mean?
Yeah, we're detecting.
Just to figure out, maybe where when and how frequent, and all that kind of stuff like that. I mean, there's.
I mean, you could do the fart tracker so that just for the most curious among us, you could just every time you just click a button, you get a nice little counter. Post it to Facebook so that everyone knows how many.
Wait. That's a whole new level of sharing your farts. I don't think that you should. You don't want that stuff to go viral.
Definitely not viral, not bacterial. You don't want anything.
Oh wow! I wasn't thinking about that kind of viral, but okay.
Lots of the apps at the hackathon, they were all really solid. I would, in my opinion, like they were like something like 35 presentations, and I would say 80% of them I thought were like super solid and worked actually, at least up to the limitations of the SDK.
What were a few of your favorites?
So the one that won best overall was called It's Raining. Basically, it totally worked. They used a weather API, but basically it would pop up on your watch before it was about to rain, like it would give you, say, an hour warning before. But it was just beautifully designed. Like it popped up with a graph of how much rain there's going to be, and over the day, so you can get the whole thing. And so that's actually most of the applications we saw so far were sort of just called either notifications or glances. There's sort of two classes of notification for the Apple Watch, one of which is a glance. The other is the more standard notification. Most of the apps sort of used that, and I think it was intentional on Apple's part to sort of cripple the SDK for now, in my opinion, because they're worried about battery life. So most of what they want to see, it seems, is sort of extended notifications for the watch that you can interact with them a little bit, but if you want to do anything fully functional, you're going to have to pull out the phone.
And I think that makes sense for a V1, right?
It certainly does. And if you noticed when they presented the Apple Watch, the big unveiling, they told you all the features, the great crown, all the different styles, the thousands of wristbands, whatever. They did not mention battery life, which sort of has me worried. I think I've heard sort of, I don't know if it's official, but word on the street is that V2 will have a full-featured SDK which will allow completely native apps that only live on the watch. But the way the SDK is set up right now, in fact, all the processing actually happens on the phone, and then it just beams the results back to the watch via Bluetooth.
Makes sense. So the phone, the watch is just a presentation piece, just a visual piece.
Exactly, at least for now.
To their credit, they didn't really mention battery life a whole lot when they were talking about iPhone 6 either. And in my unscientific experimentations with it is that the iPhone 6, I have the Plus, and it has been phenomenal battery life. I can in the day with at least half a charge of battery, and not even have to worry about putting on the charger at night, which to some people might be disappointing, but for me, I'm very excited about that. So
I think the battery life may actually be fairly good because of these limitations. I sort of have the feeling that they were still deciding whether or not they wanted to have this limitation up until the point where they released the SDK, because some of the documentation they provide and some of the demo apps they have actually do build fully native Apple Watch apps. But then the version of Xcode that they shipped, the beta version to developers, actually breaks on that code. So the demo code they provided does not compile and work because they disabled that flag that allows you to compile native apps in Xcode. So I think it was sort of something they were sort of trying to decide, like the trade-off for the V1. Do we care more about battery life and the user experience that they have with good battery life, or do they care more about the extra functionality you would get from having fully native apps on the watch? And it seems they went the battery life route, which I'm sure version 2 will be great in terms of having native apps and battery life at the same time.
So what excites you guys about Apple Watch in general? I mean, if you could, you saw a bunch of apps at this hackathon and things. Is there one particular app that you could say, like, man, I wish I had this thing?
Did you have any? I liked the raining one. I mean, it was beautiful. Just like one's sort of the whole big application, in my opinion, is sort of the same sort of stuff you get from Google now. So I'm an Android user, and Google is sort of telling me really interesting contextual information all the time through the Google Now app, which is something I would love to see on the watch. And I'm sure actually Google will probably extend their Google search app that provides the Google Now functionality for the Apple Watch. But sort of things like when I'm walking around the city here, San Francisco, my phone will pop up bus schedules whenever I'm near a bus station, which is entirely convenient. Stuff like just telling me, standard weather things, but also what movies are playing nearby. Just sort of all that everyday contextual information, sort of the stuff you think about what the future is going to be like, where machines predict everything for you. I think that sort of stuff was definitely the most interesting in terms of watch features.
Right. I was going to kind of mention that a lot of these apps feel like a lot of the things that did well at the hackathon and just in general, or as we're saying, they're kind of just a repackaging of what, and most times, obviously, what could be done on the phone. Like the Rain app, you can have a Rain app on the phone, but so it's sort of about like the convenience on the watch and, kind of what Daniel's saying, the notifications. But it also gives me the feeling that, and seeing everything at the hackathon, I don't really know what's like really like kind of tangible or really like sort of like where's the like structure you need to build. I guess what I'm saying is I don't really know what can become like very successful as far as like maybe it's a social network or something like that, but again, a social network can easily exist on the phone, and so like one of the reasons we went with FartWatch, because I mentioned this earlier, is that you use both of the devices, and that's basically the foundation of what we made. Whereas all the other things are sort of just like a repackaging of the phone, and the vast majority of things at the hackathon were like that, and so I don't really find too much utility in that. I'm not like crazy about checking my phone that much, like maybe some people are. You know what I mean? I don't know that I need that much information. I think Google Now is brilliant, but I'm not sure if I need it at this point.
So to your point, I mean, FartWatch sounds like it sounds kind of cutesy and everybody grins and stuff like that. But you're saying that you guys were really looking for a way to use the watch to interact with the phone, right?
Yeah,
to really drive interaction.
Yeah,
that's an interesting distinction. I mean, because sometimes sometimes concepts are what define the output. So do you find that the notifications, all the different notifications, annoying? I mean, or is it just silent notifications that you get?
Well, so yeah, it's hard to know until we get actual hardware, I suppose.
No, I'm talking about for your experience with Android Watch. I mean, or for the Android platform. Have you?
They are distracting when I'm trying to do work, and probably I should not check my phone as much as I do. But like everyone, it's like, oh, your phone vibrates in your pocket. Oh, I gotta see what it is. It's like a little sort of surprise negative information. It's like a little present, and who knows what it's going to be until you look at it, which is sort of the addictive quality, I think, of having all these notifications. So maybe actually it'll be better though, because maybe you just check your watch, you're not interested, rotate your wrist away, and then it's gone, and so you're right back focusing to what you're working on without so much of a mode switch.
Does anybody on the panel have questions for these guys? I mean, I want to see what kind of open it up here.
Not really. I mean, as usual, as per the usual, when people say things on the show, you'll see me frantically writing things down, getting ideas. But I did want to say that besides the fact that I think your product idea here is brilliant, because it is. Now, I mean that. It's brilliant because all the things we already said. It's a self-promoter. It has a lot of places where people can just take it. You made jokes about, the Tonight Show or whatever, but that all is totally possible.
Oh, yeah. For the viewers, we're on deck at Conan, if possible.
So
on deck, you mean?
In the green room, nearly.
We're practically in the green room.
Yeah, Letterman, we'll see you soon.
Yeah. So I know Conan's definitely a listener of the Corona Geek podcast, and so Conan, please book us.
But I wanted to also say that you had some other ideas there that were very intriguing. And now that
so some of the other ideas.
Have you considered? I mean, so you're going to take this. You're obviously fully invested in doing this right now. But are you guys going to be following on with variations and?
Yeah, so I'm looking forward to fully native app support, just in terms of games. Like, I think there's a lot of applications for like little watch games that people could play. That would be really fun.
But with FartWatch, we're going to be expanding into other sound effects. Things like scary noises under your sister's bed. There's a whole other market for puke and
little girls
that we'll be getting into.
Well, see, there's a whole in-app,
So-
in-app purchase opportunity there, right? I mean,
Yeah,
that's
premium model, right? So we talked about how do you monetize Fartwatch, and we definitely don't want to limit the install base.
Sure.
I like
Premium
your
model.
I need to get away phone, touch my thing and my phone rings. That's a good idea. You should definitely do that.
So it was done.
It was made at the
Oh, it was
hackathon.
already
Yeah.
made. I didn't catch that.
Right.
Sorry.
So that was one of the two. I might have not mentioned that. That was one of the two kind of top ideas, and we decided to go with FartWatch. And at the end of that, we learned during the presentation that somebody had made it. Somebody made the other app.
It was a
I
great
wanted
idea,
to
though.
say.
It wasn't.
I'm sorry. I wanted to say you guys had this conflict with somebody else saying, "Hey, you stole my idea." But I've got a theory that anybody has an idea, each of us at any time, and somebody else is thinking of that same thing at the same time.
Absolutely.
Whoever
Right.
moves first.
Yeah, we're gonna dig a moat around things. I'd like everybody to check out fart.watch. That's the URL.
Getting the plugin.
You don't need it www and there's no .com. Okay, fart.watch. That's all you need to do.
Wow, plugging really hard right now.
Oh yeah.
Plugging
So
the
now,
Fartwatch.
how did you score? Like, while we're talking about that, how did you score this domain? I mean, this seems like this would be a premium domain, right?
Epically premium. Absolutely.
You know a guy, right? You're in on the ICANN. You know someone at ICANN. You're in with the registrars, right? No, it just happened to be available. So the domain name for the hackathon we went to was hackathon.watch, and so we, up until then, didn't even know that .watch was a top-level domain. So while we were there, we were like, well, I guess we need a website and a URL if we're about to get up and present in front of everyone.
So you're sitting at this hackathon. You've got this idea, and lo and behold, the domain is just sitting there available, waiting for you.
I spent about 4 hours on the logo, like Daniel loves to talk about, and about 5 minutes on the website.
Yeah, getting the domain right before we were about to present, like, do we set up the forwarding? Do we have the A record set up? Like, what's the IP address? What's going on?
I was tweaking the responsiveness in the crowd, you know.
Yeah, I think it speaks for itself. You don't really need to say much more than that. And I like that you guys have routed that all to social media. I mean, it makes complete sense. I mean, why spend all your time trying to build this island of a website when it's clearly going to be word of mouth that's going to spread this?
Oh yeah, word of mouth. Just
Hashtag FartWatch. That's right.
gonna be a barn burner, a back end blowout. We're trying to just blow up.
We're trying to rebut the system. I mean, all the way.
Any plans for Android version?
Oh, so that's a great question. You know, it sort of comes down to a question of like Android watches versus Apple Watch. Like, so there's already a bunch of Android watches out, and some of them seem really great. Like the Moto 360 is really beautiful and has, you know, the round screen and everything. But it's sort of like, I think what Apple is going to do for the smartwatch market, what they did for the tablet market, right, or the mobile music player market. Like, everyone knows it exists, but it's only first adopters that use it until Apple comes with the huge marketing machine and, you know, the beautiful silver product and the fashion statement. Only at that point do I think that the market will actually blow open and just become, you know, people actually wearing smartwatches.
It's going to be like the celebrity thing. It's going to be like all over Instagram. People are going to be farting everywhere.
Or just using Apple Watches.
And farting.
So, like when Apple announced the iPad, you know, if you remember, Saturday Night Live did a skit comparing it to a certain feminine hygiene product, and there was just, like, everyone was making fun of it, and then it totally sold ridiculous. And so there was a tablet market before then, but not until the iPad came along did that market actually open up. And I think a very similar thing might happen with the watch, which is sort of why we're really into getting something in the App Store ready just for ship for the first day when they're ready on sale.
And the moat.
And,
So you think the average Joe will buy into smartwatch or into wearables?
I don't know about the average Joe or Jane, but certainly people, I think, in my generation will see it as a fashion statement, and will be entirely sort of, like, even right now, like in high school, if you don't have an iPhone, maybe you're not very cool.
I think it'll be just like pure American consumerism stuff. Like, the cool kids are going to have it, and so everybody else is going to want it, and it's expensive, but you're going to save up all. I remember in 8th grade, I bought a mini Discman. Like, I saved up all year, the little busing tables job I had, and That thing cost, I think, $350, which in whatever 1994 or whatever was a lot. So I see no reason kids aren't going to save up their money to buy an iWatch.
So okay, so what I hear is that if it was just a piece of tech, then maybe not. But you're saying that from a fashion standpoint, people will definitely invest in it.
Yeah, you know, I think just in general and with apps on the watch, it could be like the big designer coup, you know, and would justify what they're paying designers in San Francisco these days, maybe. Just meaning, I think the watch is all about what it looks like. As I talked about earlier, a lot of these apps can be the same thing on the phone, so it's really about what they're going to look like, how, you know, and showing them off to other people. Like the initial thing is all about that, is showing other people and spreading it that way. One of the apps at the hackathon was it basically alerted you to a certain color, kind of like the Fox News orange, red, green scale, the terror alert scale. And it'll tell you if you're in a bad neighborhood or something. And it had this beautiful, like, circular alert on it that kind of like phased colors like LEDs or something like that. And it was like it won, I think, an award, and it was a great implementation of sort of public data. But I just think it looked great.
Yeah, and just in general, obviously, it's very difficult to design for just such a small screen. I mean, you're really constrained on space, and you're really limited to what you can do. And of course, the interface is mostly all about that watch crown. Obviously, it's still a touch screen, but very little real estate. Have to get creative with design, and choose very consciously what piece of data is the most important to present to the user at any given point in time.
Awesome.
Do you guys remember what the size of the watch face is?
Yeah, so there's two of them. There's like, I think, what is it, the 38 millimeter and the 44 something. So there's actually two different sizes, which was something very un-Apple, it seemed like to me. The whole way they spin it, of course, is that it's a fashion statement, and that's why there's 3 different colors, 10 different possible wristbands, 3 different models, like the sport one, the normal one, and the gold one, and 2 different sizes. The whole spin is that, it's a personal product, it's a fashion thing. Like, they've already started marketing it that way, which is why there's a million different models, which actually I was trying to see if I would buy one for developing on, and I couldn't figure out what combination I wanted, which was sort of something that's a little un-Apple, right? Normally their whole deal is that there's just one model, and so you know which one to buy, and there's no thought involved. And, I don't know, I thought that was a little interesting, but definitely it's supposed to be something highly personal to you, which is how they're selling it. It's fashion.
Brian, are you still there with us? I'm wondering, from an educational standpoint, will you guys be teaching wearables?
Yeah, it'll happen, especially in our more advanced classes. I've already got students showing up with some of the wearables 2 classes and wanting to develop apps for them. Last spring, I had a few of the Google various wearables out there showing up in the class, and students already doing some neat stuff with it. So we're definitely going to see that happening.
Interesting. Did anybody on the panel have any other questions for Andrew and Daniel?
Nope.
All right.
Let's see if we can blast a few farts here.
The microphone's over here, right, isn't it?
No.
I don't think that's working.
We heard that.
All right. Okay. All right.
You're hurting me here.
Let me ask this. I know everybody's dying to know. Sourcing the audio.
Okay.
Did you buy this? Is this like stock audio? I mean, what do you do?
So resound.org is an amazing resource. All the stuff we used was fully license compatible, so stuff that was completely open. Being a musician and a music producer, I actually do carry a field recorder with me at all points. I have a little microphone ready to go, and so I don't personally want to be the sound of fart.watch. I'm not sure if I'm even good enough. I mean, I'm sure there's people that do sort of fart fully professionally.
All right.
Maybe we would want to get a professional involved.
We were kind of going back and forth on this, but I'll go ahead and let you guys in on a secret. Some of our in-app purchases are going to be celebrities farting. celebrities' actual farts. You'll be able to buy them. I've got a couple kind of B-level guys on board already, but the email was sent to Bieber already. Like Justin's got that in his inbox.
Yeah.
Oh, let me tell you what, man. I run into this over and over again that there's plenty of things in life that are boring, and you certainly have. You're not bringing that to the table. It's a fun topic, and you make it fun. I love it. Fart Foley. I have to go out and see now if fartfoley.com is available. It's just
It's got to exist, right?
Right. Fart Foley.
There must be professional farters. It's not something you want to think about every day, or necessarily you even want to think about, but it's gotta be out there.
Right.
Foot models, hand models.
Yeah, fart Foley.
Yeah. And Laura was saying earlier, she says, "Please let it be handmade." And I was thinking, there is a term that I never thought I would find associated with fart.
Artisanal.
Handmade farts.
Artisanal.
Artisanal.
Everything in California is artisanal.
Yeah. Sell it on Etsy.
Is it organic? That's all I want to know.
Free range.
Free range farts. Awesome. That is good stuff right there.
Except only in the lower colon, like only in the lower intestine.
Oh, now you're just making it weird.
Okay. Went too far.
There's
Went
the
too
line.
far with the joke.
There's the line right there. Too far.
Okay, there you go, Charles. It's available, buddy. Fartfolder.com.
Is it really?
You're all over.
No. Is it? Let me see. No, it's not available. Yeah, is it?
Yeah, it's right there. GoDaddy.com.
Oh, look at that. That is hilarious. It won't be this show after it's all over. It won't be. Somebody will own it. They will own it. Well, let me just.
You can get the whole thing.
I think fartfolio.io. No, never mind. Maybe that's not a good one.
Fartfolio.
Oh yeah.
You have a Fartfolio.
That's an awesome one. Register that one right now. Register. Go ahead.
We'll be sisters.
Fartfolio is available.
Oh, you can't pawn this one off on us.
No, we're doing all the cross promotion. It'll be
There it is,
great.
I tell you what, I think that this, again, going back to the marketing thing, I think this is genius because it's something that promotes itself. And I had an additional thought there. I can't remember what it was. But
You blew that one out of your.
I did. I just blew it. I totally blew it.
Just in one end and out the other.
Not me doing it. Oh my gosh, the fart jokes. Here we go.
Good stuff. All right, so you guys are on Twitter. So what's the best place? You want people to just follow you on Twitter? Is that when you're gonna announce when this is gonna be available?
Yeah, sure. So we're gonna try and be in the store on launch day, assuming Apple doesn't take too much offense to the app. And also, our marketing is our logo is very similar to the Apple Watch logo. That might turn out to be a problem in the future. But yeah, we're gonna try and be there on launch day, which is probably in March, so you can check us out at fart.watch. Has a link to our Twitter there. We love to engage with our audience. It takes a certain special kind of someone to be really into fart.watch, and we share that same passion. We love that to have a big community going.
Get a community going early on. But yeah, the watch I think comes out in March, and we'll be getting our act together, getting everything a little tighter. Again, until that SDK comes out, we unfortunately can't really get it all up and going. But
yeah, so sort of what we've been talking about there is that there's actually no way built into the SDK yet for the watch to communicate with the phone directly, as in like sending data from the watch to the phone. It's supposed to be sort of integrated using the SDK. But so we had the problem where we wanted just to send a little ping to the phone saying that the fart button was pressed, and there's no true way to do it. So everyone was just doing the most ridiculous hacks that are so dirty and disgusting I don't even want to talk about them. But hopefully when the second version of the SDK comes out, it will be more feature complete, and something as simple as sending a little chunk of data from the phone to the watch should be in there. So, I mean, it was a hackathon project. It certainly is a hack, but we are serious about actually getting it in there, which is, of course, why we're on the podcast,
Well, here's where the thought that it left me a little while ago was that app discovery. If nothing else, like I said, this is an app that sells itself, and if nothing else, if you can do, hey, have you tried our other apps or whatever, even if it's just on the phone, right? If it's just in the companion app itself that's on the phone, cross promotion for the next app that comes on down the line, that's gold all by itself.
Absolutely, getting a ton of users. Yeah.
Yeah, totally. I mean, we're like makers, and we're not like, I don't know how serious we are about, acquiring users or money or anything like that. Like, certainly we crank out stuff here, and just like you said and touched on in the beginning, I'll probably be joining the. Sorry, what was the game jam?
The Ship Jam.
Ship Jam.
Ship Jam.
Yeah, I mean, we need that.
Yeah, we have so many projects.
We need that.
We need to be shipping.
Yeah, in fact, this week I'm able to kill a few websites. I just finally pulled the plug, so we're filtering out and we're going forward strong.
Yeah, focusing the effort into actually shipping. Important.
Yeah, important.
Well, that's excellent. Well, thanks guys for being on, for talking with us about it. I look forward to seeing it out in the Apple Store, and yeah, I definitely will be downloading it. I'm going to get the Fartwatch. I'm going to get the watch, the Apple Watch for sure. So I think my first app should be Fartwatch for sure.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much for having us.
Yeah, we've had a blast. I mean, literally a blast, and we were happy to be on the podcast. Yeah, it's been great. Thank you so much.
No problem. Ed, do you think we have time to do anything around text?
I believe we do not.
You believe we do not? All right. So what we're going to do next time?
Do that in 9 minutes.
Not 9 minutes? Come on, man. What we'll do next time is we will talk about using text. We're going to talk specifically about sizing text input fields, moving them around on the screen, and we're going to talk about sizing text in input fields. So we'll be one on moving the input fields around, and one on sizing the text within them. So that's like we were talking about earlier. That's kind of an issue when it comes to native input. It's always an issue, but we'll look more into that later. So until then, is there anything else that you guys want to announce or talk about before we head out? Going once?
You're muted,
Can
Laura.
I announce my new app? It just came out this weekend.
Oh, good. Yeah, tell us about it.
Awesome. It's called Cool Careers Dress Up for Girls. And it's a dress-up app where girls can dress up as like astronauts and scientists and firefighters and all kinds of really cool like STEM jobs and technologically advanced like modern jobs, and it's really exciting and cool. It's a big project I've been working on for a while.
And where is it? Where can people find it?
It is on iTunes. If you just type in like Cool Careers for Dress Up for Girls, hopefully it'll come up. It might still be propagating. And then it's also on my website, lauratallardy.com.
And you've got it on Google Play, is that correct?
Yes, Google Play also.
Okay, excellent. Yeah, go check it out. I know you do. Laura does a lot of great work around design, and she does a lot of. You do a lot of these same genre of apps, right?
Yeah, I really love dress-up apps. They're a lot of fun, and this was one that I kind of had going just for a little while, and I kept thinking, I really need to branch out of princesses and mermaids and ballerinas. So this was kind of, all right, let's give back, let's be a little bit less princess, and maybe empower some girls to be, ballerinas, on Monday, and then maybe an astronaut on Tuesday, and then a mermaid on Thursday. Just break in some cool careers into the princess crowd.
Well, why not? I mean, why not at least have the idea of, or explore the idea of seeing yourself in those roles, right? I mean, that's the starting point for it all, is kind of imagining yourself as that
absolutely.
character.
And being able to like envision it, and then also another really fun feature is you can mix and match everything, and it gets really fun. So you can have like a scuba diver in the president's office, with a spacesuit on, and a Dalmatian dog that'll help you out. And so there's really a lot of fun that you can do. You can dress up as the regular careers, you can mix and match. And I just think it's a lot more progressive than a lot of the apps that are out, or a lot of the other dress-up apps that are out, because it kind of goes into the more modern job options for women.
Does it do any kind of does it encourage the kids to share what they've created on social media or anything like that?
Unfortunately, because of COPPA restrictions, anything that's targeted towards children, I really can't do any kind of sharing or social media around it. I can talk about it on social media, but the kids themselves, they can save it to their device and do and print out or whatever they want.
So they do have an option to save it to their photo gallery or whatever.
Yeah, and so if they want to save it to their phone and then email it to their grandmom or whatever, they can do that. It's
Because one of the things I've been doing here lately is my daughter is she's always been creative, and she likes to doodle, and she does all these things. But you know how it is. They wake up one morning and they're totally different than they were the day before. And she all of a sudden she is just creating stuff like crazy. So we've gone to encouraging her to share that on social media. We set it up on doing a Instagram. Just to not just so that she doesn't just create something, but then she gets in the habit of sharing it with people.
Oh, yeah.
Really expressing herself as far as it's good to show it to mom and dad, but hey, go ahead and get in the habit of sharing it with the world, and she's really enjoyed that. That's
awesome. That's a really great idea.
Yeah. So all right, we'll go check that out. We'll put a link in the show note. I have it all here, and we'll link that up. So congratulations on getting another app out, and you guys do be sure to go over and check out ShipJam. So we'll have a link in the show notes, but you can go to shipjam.com, check that out, get that app out there before the end of the year. And as we spend a lot of time talking at length, go check out fartwatch.com. Whether you think it's a silly concept or not, or whatever, Apple Watch is coming, wearables are growing, and now is the time to start thinking about what are you going to create. Maybe you could do it in next year's Jam, or maybe at the beginning of the year. I know they have a global game jam in the beginning of the year around March time frame. So you start thinking about your first Apple Watch app now, and maybe you could have something ready by March. So. Anyway, all right, guys. Well, thanks for being here. Thanks for hanging out with us. We'll be back here next Monday, 12 p.m. Pacific, talking about all mobile app development using Corona SDK. Have a great week. Happy coding.
Adios.